Salve ragazzi, ben arrivati su un'altra nuova puntata del Calice Nero di domenica e oggi abbiamo niente poco di meno che ritornata dalla Finlandia, quindi è ritornato sul canale Mr. Enrico, buonasera.
Buonasera, dalla Finlandia perché non sono tornato ancora in Italia, ma acceleriamo il processo così, ciao.
Quindi il processo si andrà a divulgare e lo avremo in Italia, Mr. Dottor Enrico. Ma oggi abbiamo un altro grandissimo musicista, la seconda parte, l'abbiamo già avuto sul canale, Mr. Lars Broddesson, che ricordiamo che è stato anche dei Marduk, ma non solo, perché vi diremo il tutto. Welcome Lars!
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Buonasera, good evening, good kväll.
Buonasera a te. Lasciate Enrico partire, vai.
Yeah, welcome on. Nice to have you as a guest. It's not the first time, so you already know how things are going on over here. It's I'm back after some not so easy time, but it's even quite emotional for me be back after sometimes over the community over here. So we'll start by questioning something about your putting some highlights to how you have been so far in your career. You have been quite running places over time, and it's even a good honor for me to try to not ask you so much in the details, but I prefer to let you interact way more. So how are you doing? And How are those days for you?
I'm doing just excellent, I'd like to say. Like I just told you before we started, I just had the world's largest fucking pizza, and I fell asleep, and I just woke up. So my brain is a bit mushy at the moment, but I'm doing good. I'm feeling positive for the future, and I feel like it's a good energy and everything right now, and it's a good movement forward in things in general.
How has been this? If you have to put some, how has been 2023 for you? How's been the past year? Do you have good memories?
It's been really interesting. One of the biggest things that happened in 23 for me was Nordjevel, of course, which came a bit out of nowhere, and took up a lot of my time, and went playing with them. And apart from that, I've just been, focusing on Hild, trying to get some material down there, and getting that forward. Just doing the things that I'm supposed to do, that I love to do, and just trying to make a living out of it, I guess you can say. But I think it's been a good year. I don't really think like that. I usually think like that when the year starts, like, oh, this is going to be my year, and blah 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 blah. But then as time progresses, it's just time passing, and you still just do what you do. So that's it. But thinking back in retrospect, 2023, it was a good year. It was a good year. 24 is going to be even better. That's a fucking cliche to say, but so
No
it is.
way.
I mean, we move forward. We have our goals, and we follow the path of our hearts, and try to make the best out of it. So,
Do you put your? Do you have this? We're not talking about. You said about cliche, but it has been not at all so far. But this one, like, do you have the habits to put the thin on the soil on the New Year's Eve to see what kind of shape comes through? Or
yes, yeah. Actually, I've never done it myself, but yes, that is a folklore practice in the northern countries, and for a really long time. So yeah, I haven't done it myself. I usually go around the winter solstice instead, and do some rituals and stuff. I haven't done that one, but I guess I should at some point. I think it's really fun, and I think it's important, and it's good for your well-being to know the folklore of your region, and the landscape, where the customs and stuff like that. Whether you believe it or not, it adds something to your life and to your
yeah,
knowledge.
sure, of course.
So it's important to preserve and conserve these things, and to learn about these things.
It's good. It's something that has been taken from our ancestors, so the heritage or cult has to still alive in so many ways. So we can get some highlights to that too. Okay, translation time for our viewers, which I'm sure that they're coming up to interact with you. So be ready and steady for. Ciao.
Yeah. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere.
Ok, allora sì, sta bene, sono giorni abbastanza tranquilli, è stato un buon inizio anno, successivo a un 2023 molto, insomma, molto creativo e molto, insomma, operoso, in quanto ha avuto diversi concerti e registrazioni, i primi tra i quali Hild. Per il momento diciamo che insomma si gode questo inizio insomma non proprio a rallentatore, però in questo momento sto cercando poi di bene capire in che modo creare l'agenda per l'anno a seguire. Di salute sta bene. Andiamo avanti con la prossima domanda.
Ok, allora.
Intanto prendo un po' d'acqua.
Ok, allora, Mr. Lars, come riusciamo a far sì che il concetto filosofico interiore ed esteriore di Lars riesce a essere creato all'interno della chitarra, all'interno della batteria, con solamente il tatto dei polpastrelli e creando questa sorta di filosofia come potrebbe creare una sorta di disegno espanso artistico.
So as a polyedric musician, buonasera Alessandro. As a polyedric musician and excellent guitar player and drummers, if you have to, let's say, conceptualize your sense of art, and you're talking about the creativity. How would you, if you have to make a free association, how should that be channel in a sort of not really philosophical here? I think Attivo Maestro wants to say something else, but like, how should it be on an art piece, in a drawing? Let's say, if you have to make such association on an extended drawing, and on a sense of geez, on a sense of transcendent, how to transcend in a sort of ethical meaning. I think that was what he wanted to spot out.
An ethical meaning.
Yeah, talking about, he mentioned philosophy, but like some sort of like orientation. So if you have to, or maybe better to say, like, as a cult, yeah, maybe even cult can work as a meaning. So if you have to put it simple, if you have to display your own creativity, how should it be on a picture? He's say on a drawing, but let's say in an art piece and in a cult. Those two ranges.
Well, it would definitely be somewhat abstract, and there would definitely be a very large piece of blackness inside it, like a sludgy kind of black current, or a flux or flow, or however to say it. And in it, I would definitely try to interweave somehow landscape, heaven, and growth. How do you say, plants, stuff like that. I would really like it to convey something that alludes to what is beyond what the normal eyes can see. If you understand what I mean, I think all art should do that. It should open up to other worlds than the one you can see with only your eyes. It should open up. It should be like a key to the unknown in any way, in one way or another. And by that, I mean both the invisible worlds that are out there and also within yourself, the subconscious, if you like. I mean, I think all art, at least all art that is worth the name, should definitely touch something deeper, and like having you face unknown areas of yourself and the worlds around you. And I guess I try to, or rather, I can't make any kind of music without touching upon that. And even, I mean, that's a tricky question. It's hard to answer in a proper way. But if you ask how I would do it, even if just playing an instrument like drums or guitar or something, I think it's crucial that I should touch something that's beyond the ordinary.
does it make you feel like a sort of division in yourself when you're, let's say, well, of course, the medium is different when you're picking the notes from the melodies from the guitars, and when you're sticking with the drums, drumsticks, you have a similar kind of like induction for the process, or is it some ways, or are there some nuances that kind of makes you feel a little bit more, I don't know, like let's say you have more like visual when you're playing the guitars, and you have more intimacy within yourself when with this invisible world, or metaphysical, let's put it so, in such way, when you're sticking with the pattern with the drums, or vice versa, or is it the same?
No, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same. It's a medium that's different. I mean, obviously, guitar and drums are not the same, but depending on what I play and for what purpose. If I'm just practicing, I mean, I'm just practicing. But if I'm like playing in a meditative mode, it doesn't really matter if it's guitar or if it's drums or key fiddle, piano.
Right.
It definitely connects to something deeper, and I feel something deeper in it. And if I'm trying to write music, it has to be there for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Back to us. Dunque, and I will put a note. I would like to ask you something really soon about how your creative process makes you wandering, perhaps in a land by walking or hiking. But I start to translate. Allora, direi ho capito abbastanza bene. Praticamente, se dovesse trasporlo in un'immagine, diciamo, sì, insomma, in un senso figurativo, avrebbe l'idea di questo di questa tela nera totalmente, per questo sorriso, perché ho appena finito di lavorare. Questo praticamente ha dimensioni spropositate, quindi una sorta lui ha anche definito questa tela nera come una sorta di paesaggio, che poi, insomma, penso che a queste latitudini è abbastanza, cioè io capisco quello che dice, perché l'inverno comunque è effettivamente un paesaggio nero, un paesaggio scuro che quasi assorbe, però sa anche dare molto in cambio, quindi c'è questa sorta di scambio energetico con questa realtà metafisica che si percepisce, però non è visibile, cioè quando comunque scende il buio ci si può, come dire, avvicinare a tentoni, per cui si percepisce, non si può vedere esattamente cosa accade, ma insomma questo è un po' il modo in cui anche a livello creativo, riportando la stessa domanda a un concetto un po' più parossistico e filosofico, ha questa traiettoria che tende verso l'inconscio. Il buio, questa tela nera, diventa, diciamo, la propria immagine interiore scusate, la propria immagine interiore, e questo è quello che un po' si assorbe, cioè quando questo paesaggio scuro viene quasi, come dire, masticato, digerito, comunque ci si ritrova all'interno del proprio corpo, quindi ci si vede, ci si conforma col territorio, come si dice. E io gli ho anche chiesto in coda se il modo in cui, come dire, compone, perché magari ci sono due modi diversi, due modus operandi diversi quando suona la chitarra piuttosto che quando è alla batteria, ma il processo creativo non cambia, quindi forse cambia leggermente quando si allena, quando si esercita, rispetto al processo creativo di per sé. Quando medita, quando magari è da solo a cercare appunto di trarre questi frutti invisibili da questo paesaggio interiore. Quindi direi che sì, non fa una piega, è giusto che sia così, almeno. Poi adesso gli vorrei chiedere magari che, come dire, che relazione ha con la natura che lo circonda, perché magari ci possono essere degli insight ancora più, no? Ancora più.
Sì, saluto un attimino i nostri spettatori, poi lasciate la domanda. Saluto appunto Maurizio,
Certo, certo.
Matteo, Alessandro, Giacinto, Cobra James. Salutiamo su Instagram Arrogant, che appunto conduceva in sentiva insieme. Salutiamo Virtus, Silvia Gatti che debutterà il 28 sul Calice Nero, quindi preparatevi. Arianna, che appunto andremo in puntata dalle 21 alle 22, oggi tripla intervista, ragazzi. Zar Zar, appunto, Moliterni 8 e Sumenium. Prego.
Nessuna domanda? Non ancora?
Per il
Nessuno
momento
interessato?
no. Per il momento
No.
no.
Avanti. No, yeah, okay. We're bouncing between our Italian fellows and us in this sort of like extension of the living room. Here we go again. I would like to know, well, so many things, but just to conclude this last question that he pointed up before, I would love to know, how is your relation with the nature? I believe, but I'm not sure unless you're telling us how, if just in case, if the nature is a source of inspiration, and how is your thing? How is your little, no mention to be secret, but how is your formula when you are walking in the forest, and you might take some hints from this sort of tangible world that it's in a sort of twilight with the invisible realm, as you were very nicely explained before.
Yeah. Well, if nature is a source of inspiration, then yes, definitely. I think nature is everything, really. I mean, just sitting here inside in this room in the basement of my house is still part of nature somehow. I mean, you still have the landscape surrounding it. You still have the soil underneath the floor, outside the walls. It's everywhere at all times, and it's everything. I mean, modern man and civilization tends to think that, like, civilization and cities is one thing and nature is another thing, but it's all a big part of the same thing, and nature will always creep up everywhere. That's a weird expression to use, but I mean, even if it's just concrete, even if it's just asphalt and everything, you will still have like flowers and stuff growing up out of the ground, like in sewers everywhere. It's everywhere. Uh, but to answer your question about my formula and like how I connect to the more invisible and tangible sides, it stems for me. It kind of started with just a general interest of being outside in nature, which I loved since I was a kid. I just like being outside and in the landscape, as I like to say, instead of nature, because nature is so, it's an expression that has so many connotations to it these days, and people have their own. I mean, it has lost its meaning a little bit. So I'd rather use the word landscape, where where you have like hills, trees, whatever, the bedrock. But the thing is to try and not have any preconceived notions about what you are watching. Instead of going there and see, like, say, a birch tree or a rock, you just walk there and you just take it in, like with a blank mind, and no mind, no internal dialogue, no nothing, and you just experience it. And then that is when things start happening. We start perceiving on a deeper level when it's not your ordinary conscious mind, the self, or whatever you want to call it, that is interpreting the stuff around you and giving it names and descriptions, like I said, the birch tree. But I mean, in its original form, it's a sort of energy that is in itself. To call it the birch tree is a man-made invention. It's just a description. You understand what I mean? But there is something deeper to it, and all of a sudden you can it just comes. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
nothing else. There's something deeper to it, and to me, it's I put it in a Nordic mythology context, to put it easy. That's where I have my faith and everything, and that comes from, because it's natural here. It's a part of the bedrock here. I see the forces, the powers, the gods, everything. I see it as part of the landscape and the sky, the space, everything. And here, that's what's natural and what comes natural to me. And also interesting, since you mentioned this New Year's ritual with folklore and stuff, that's also where I started my journey, and just general interest in folklore and like elementals and stuff like that. I started to be interested in that. And all of a sudden, I just find myself like absolutely believing it and absolutely living in it, and actually talking to a tree all of a sudden, and standing there and feeling my goddess Freya in a tree. And it was there. It was just there. I can't explain it in any better way, but the key is to be there, be in it, just be in it, and your nature too, your inner nature and your outer nature. It's all connecting to the landscape and everything. Everything does.
And if the if the landscape with all the natural elements from the nature could create a sort of, I don't know why I have this straight idea to name it as a gospel. Well, it doesn't have to be related to any cult or religion, but like if the land could sing.
I have to interrupt you there. The landscape does sing. It sings all the time.
Exactly. That was the point I wanted to reach.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just had to interrupt you there. The landscape does sing. Sorry, please continue.
No, exactly. Thank you for get already to the point where I want to lead it. Would you feel like such kind of responsibility that you have to, with your mates and with your own contribute, to bring this message that from, like, in our language, in our human language, what you are capturing from the landscape, and put it on words? So there should be laments, there should be hymn, there will be joy, there will be harshness. Yes. Does it make sense? Does it resonate to your in your figure of be a sort of like a priest to try to codify the language of the nature and transmute it to the human language in your own music?
Yes, definitely, 100%. I do feel it like a sort of obligation, although it's not like anything. But I mean, I feel like it sounds self-presumptuous now, but I mean, it does feel like I have discovered something that needs to be conveyed into human language, either by words or by music itself. And I mean, I can hear it as memories of times long lost, or I can actually hear it as actual actual melodies. And I guess I interpret it in my way, or filter it in my way. Some of the stuff that I write, I would even say that I didn't write, because the landscape wrote it and I was there to hear it. And then I have the musical and compositional skills to actually put it into something that I can convey to an audience. And to me, that's a huge blessing. And if there's anything that I would like to do with my life, it's that.
Lovely, sweet.
Hours behind it.
This transmutation, it's like it's like a message that we also need to hear. So it's a sort of coexistence daisy chain that everyone can give the contribution, especially to us, that we need to break through this I don't have any better word to say. Capitalistic word can be, but it could be more materialistic word, let's say. It has another language too much dry and too much really abstract in terms of how things has to be done in our human things, whether we are forgetting at all how guest we are in some, in something a bit way more remote than ourselves. So that's really good to hear from you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Allora, c'è stato un attimo abbiamo parlato un po' di... Dunque io ho chiesto... Scusate, gli ho chiesto esattamente se è ispirato dalla natura e ho voluto chiederlo col senso del dubbio, col beneficio del dubbio, se effettivamente è ispirato dalla natura, in che modo la natura sa orientare lui e poi comunque insomma i suoi amici musicisti con i quali compone. Sì, la natura comunque è una dimensione, un portale aperto che sa dare, cioè che sa darsi, che dà molto, ovviamente a chi lo recepisce, perché non è detto che siamo, cioè, noi ne possiamo parlare qua e siamo tutti nell'idea che comunque l'ispirazione viene da situazioni astratte, ma prima ancora dal luogo, dal genius loci, ci tengo a questa definizione che metto sempre, però al luogo in cui viviamo, che ci sa trasmettere delle emozioni. E poi gli ho chiesto ovviamente in che modo, magari camminando in una foresta, riesce a recepire questi messaggi, questi indizi, queste declinazioni che anche sono magari, non so, un masso, un albero, una radura, un pantano, sa comunque trasmettere. Sì, abbiamo convenuto entrambe che è un linguaggio, cosa neanche, cioè, non abbiamo scoperto l'acqua calda, però è un linguaggio che la natura e gli elementi della natura all'interno di un paesaggio sanno trasmettere appunto a chi recepisce. È venuto fuori che può sembrare quasi una sorta di canto, una melodia che per responsabilità deve essere trasmesso cioè c'è un senso molto animista in questo che vi dice, perché non è facile recepire e saperlo tradurre poi in un linguaggio come dire umano, se non umanoide. Quindi il modo in cui ho voluto fargli questa domanda, per ritornare ancora indietro alla domanda che hai fatto tu, in che modo crea e qual è il suo aspetto, diciamo, creativo, deriva dall'assorbire, dall'associare tutto quello che percepisce e cercarlo di comporlo in musica e in testi, quindi in melodie e in messaggi che in realtà il luogo già di per sé dà. Quindi il fatto del mondo invisibile, cioè della realtà invisibile, è proprio al confine col luogo in cui noi camminiamo, quindi è invisibile fino a un certo punto, perché tutto deriva da quanto noi siamo poi aperti a recepire questo messaggio. Sì, abbiamo finito con fargli le congratulazioni per quello che per questo tipo di lavoro, perché non è facile fare da medium, cioè si tratta quasi di, sì, è un musicista, però si tratta quasi di essere una sorta di figura mitologica che deve cercare di lavorare tra due mondi, quello scibile.
Perfetto. Allora, adesso mi viene da chiedere questo. Lars, se cerchiamo dei sentieri, questi sentieri sono alquanto oscuri, ma questi sentieri sono la ricerca del sapere. La ricerca del sapere come artista, come essere umano, ma allo stesso tempo a far sì che questo, sapere riesca a levare all'ennesima potenza la visione, ehm, l'atea animalesca di Mister Lars. Come può, appunto, tutto ciò, questo costrutto di parole, tramutarsi attraverso la tua musica, quella musica interiore, non quella esteriore?
Mm. Mm. Uh, I try to submit because there has been very nice concept behind, but not so easy to bring it back from the beginning. But if well, basically, how is your how's the meaning of searching for the acknowledgement? What was the sense of acknowledgement from you? Does it come from experience? Does it comes from uh, from I don't know. Tell us by yourself how does it come by a sense of curiosity perhaps, and then you're going to make some research in some way to make documentations.
What do you mean by acknowledgement? I'm not following the question.
Yeah, ricerca del sapere is what. Let's say I also have to interpret it a bit, because if I try to translate exactly, it might fall the meaning. But your inner touch, your inner sensibility. I guess that's the acknowledgement that he wanted to point out. So the inner part of yourself, the most deepest part of the most authentic part of yourself. How did you manage to find through all these years, all this time you?
I'm not sure I've found it yet. I think I'm just scratching the surface of it. But I guess the clearest way to see when you're actually connecting to something deeper, either within yourself or outside yourself, is the feeling that this is not something that is in the ordinary world. I mean, everybody knows how the normal, mundane world is. You understand? You know when it's your own normal thoughts. You know when it's your own normal feelings. You know when it's your own normal senses working, like your everyday stuff. And when things occur that are beyond that, you will know that. And especially if you start like paying attention to these things or events, you will eventually start to feel it more and more, and to you start to feel a differentiation between the older, more genuine, deep part of yourself and the everyday self that most of us are when you're out walking, or like you go to the shop or whatever. Um, well, I mean, I've always had an interest for it as well. But the thing is, you know, when there's something that is beyond the ordinary, and if there's like an inner experience, or where, if I use myself as an example, where I know that I have achieved a contact with a higher power, I know it because things show up inside me, visions, words, music, whatever, which I know that I would never, ever, ever be able to think up even in my wildest fantasy, and I still have it as an experience. And then you have the other things, which are unexplainable things in the actual outer world. We actually have some kind of supernatural experience, which no modern science can explain. Then you just know you're touching upon something else.
Yeah.
So I guess you find the answer in where you can differentiate your experience as something that does not belong in the everyday mundane world, and you would know, because everybody knows the ordinary mundane world. And if you're open to stuff, you will sooner or later experience something that does not fit into that, and then you know it's real, and then you just have to choose to believe it.
Believe is one of the so many keywords. To blindly feel to something that has everything but not the sense of acknowledgement itself. I mean, not if not partially. So something that have to maybe perhaps, I don't know, try to sticking with your words, deal with part of the imaginations and something that is well fixed in terms of mediatically known, and especially something that the most prominent part is something that we don't know, and we can just feel, but we don't know how to commutate in a physical matter. Or
yes, that's very true. That's very true. It's when you only, like we were touching upon before, when you're only experiencing something, you have the experience. You don't analyze it. You don't think twice about it. You're just in it, and then you will know, and that's a deeper part of you. It will just know, and that's the acknowledgement. And then you will realize it was there all the time. It's just been hidden behind the so-called human beings that we are in this kind of society, which is ultimately just a fantasy, just a creation, just a definition that we made up. That's how it is. I mean, you're sitting here as an interpreter right now, and I mean that is true. You are an interpreter, but it doesn't define the real you. Understand? If you just block out everything and just sit and you're just being you outside on a rock in the landscape or whatever, you're not there as an interpreter. You are just there. Understand? And in that you can find the acknowledgement of what you are and what things are.
Sweet.
Okay. Or something like that. These are abstract topics. I love talking about it, but it gets how do you say? It gets a little bit out there. It's hard to talk about it in a concrete way. It's not concrete.
We have something. Yeah. You fix the point. We soon get to something a bit more reliable, but that's just the intro, and then we can getting further on to some other topics way more. Well, I mean, everything is important, but be patient 1 minute, and we'll get to something easy to even for you to answer, because so far with Cattivo Maestro, we're always getting to something very, very in depth, and then we have to kind of like balance up with.
I guess so. But this is the good stuff. I mean, I think people should always talk more about this deep things in philosophy and stuff, and not just the ordinary things like money or going to work and this costs that and that bank. This fucking politician said that, and by who gives
no
shit in the end anyway. It's just the same fucking blabbering all over it.
Unless you want to unless you want to keep a couple of words from Twisting Serpent, but if you have to manage to get to that too, but give me a minute to translate and then back to us again. And thanks for your calm and patience to. If I would ever have such kind of interview, being on your shoes at the moment, it will be wow. It will be somehow not so scary, but No, scary is not
bit scary, isn't it?
Well, it kind of is in somehow, because we have anyway to accept that it's not all about human. Well, yes, it is humanity, because we have this sort of legacy in our own business to co-live together and to give and ask informations for the better heritage to save for whoever will come up. And this social media, well, it's not social media, but this last decades has been in depth to build and to, well, of course, to create more contents. And we don't even know nowadays what is the message from our ancestors, what is the kind of like real basic acknowledgement, so to speak, and what kind of benefit do we have to gather such kind of energy, to know, to feel always more and more, and the social media in such way put everything way more, like with more speed, and after all we collapse, even in such a way. Maybe in a couple of thousands of years we will collapse too, but now we are safe. I hope.
Okay. Traduciamo così.
We can pretend.
Allora, sì, scusa. Infatti mi sono anche un po' perso. Cos'è che gli abbiamo chiesto? Ah, no, sì. Che, diciamo che questo modo di interagire, cioè di capire, in questo blue screen cos'è la conoscenza, la ricerca del sapere, che lui poi associa anche in parte alla conoscenza, deriva sì da situazioni che sono in parte, cioè allora principalmente visioni, parola e musica. Queste sono un po' le coordinate che lui utilizza che un po' noi tutti penso utilizziamo comunque per capire esattamente che tipo di sapere vogliamo acquisire. Quindi anche l'esperienza deriva un po' da quelle parole chiave, quelle sensazioni che noi decidiamo di stilare, no? La vera poi autenticità ho segnato come nota qua, è quella di non sapere troppo. Cioè, nel senso, se noi prendiamo un libro e lo leggiamo e lo studiamo, cioè, possiamo sapere delle nozioni, ma non sappiamo poi quello che poi è realmente importante, quello che dobbiamo sapere, che dobbiamo riconoscere attraverso il sapere, è tutto quello che è invisibile, cioè tutto quello che non si può conoscere, non perlomeno con le nostre facoltà. Ed è un bene, io aggiungo, da quello che ho capito, essere limitati, perché non c'è poi non è necessario spiegare e cifrare e decifrare quelli che sono poi i consigli da dare magari ad altre generazioni. Cioè, nel senso, qua si parla poi di eoni, quindi di periodi ancestrali, di come la conoscenza dell'uomo si è tramandata nell'arco dei secoli. Quindi in realtà fino a quanto non possiamo sapere tutto, possiamo tendere ad immaginare e a ricepire. Quindi poi è un concetto essenziale, cioè sappiamo tramite emozioni, quindi non è forse necessario, diciamo, avere la Treccani a casa, e possiamo solo, diciamo, tramite i sentimenti, tramite quello che è la natura, che è un luogo, che è che delle energie, ecco, che le energie di un luogo possono dare, si può poi arrivare a quella percezione di sapere, senza però avere l'immagine chiara. Quindi anche questo è un discorso un po' paradossale no, però è un po' un controsenso.
Ok.
Per quanto, almeno, spero che chi ci segue sta capendo un po' dove sta andando a finire il discorso. E poi conclude dicendo che apprezza questo tipo di domande, mettendo però non un out-out, però comunque, cioè come per dire, potremmo andare a fondo senza trovare comunque la verità universale, perché poi ognuno sa come intendere, diciamo, il proprio mondo, la propria visione. Può sembrare anche un po' difficile cercare di trovare come dire, dei principi cardine. Però possiamo andare avanti con delle domande un po' più...
Adesso mi sta venendo in mente un'altra domanda.
Vai.
A livello filosofico, semplificata, cosa vuol dire? Muro,
Come?
un muro grigio, un'altra parete rossa, una bacchetta messa.
Aspetta, perché poi magari allora, un muro.
Ok. Allora, adesso una domanda filosofica in tema molto leggero. Un muro sulla sinistra grigio, un muro sulla destra color rosso, un rosso liquido, e al centro della stanza vi è una sola bacchetta. Mr. Lars deve sedersi al centro della stanza, occhio, e deve immaginare le note della batteria, ok, della batteria del proprio strumento, come possono combaciare con queste tre azioni che ho descritto. Quindi creare un blast beat, creare un paradiddle, creare un tempo in sedicesimi o un tempo anche in quattro quarti semplicissimo.
Spero di aver capito. C'è un muro grigio da un lato,
Un muro rosso,
e c'è
una
una
bacchetta al
bacchetta.
centro, sì, al centro della stanza. Al centro della stanza deve sedersi Mr. Lars e Mr. Lars al centro della stanza deve creare una sorta di arte musicale attraverso il suo strumento. Un blast beat, un paradiddle, un tempo in sedicesimi oppure un tempo in quattro quarti semplicissimo. Come
Ma
può creare?
con una bacchetta.
Yes, yes. Battere con la batteria attraverso questi due mura, sinistra, destra. Vai.
Oi, oi, oi. Devo capire, devo capire un attimo come comporre la domanda. I have to take a little time to connect all the.
Bravo.
I wish you could help me. You have okay. Picture that. You have this like a picture. You're in a room, and there is a gray wall on one side. Opposite, you have a red wall. You're sitting in. So I guess it's a sense of dualism or dichotomy, or call it whatever. You are in the middle with your drums, and you have only one drumstick. What would be your what could it be your method to create a basic rhythm? And after that, after you will eventually find this, it's pretty visionary, even such question. And after you get to to this basic pattern, as you're taking confidence, how would you describe other rhythms, maybe way more sophisticated.
Whether I'm sitting in a room with gray or red or green or blue walls, I don't think it really matters. But I kind of like that image of having a gray wall like here. Well, it's actually kind of green gray, but having a red wall, I guess it could spark some creativity. I guess the challenge in this one would be to only have one drumstick. But normally, what I do is that I hear stuff in here first, and I would just build from that, or I would just start to let's say kick the bass drum and do something with the hi-hat, just to get a feel for it, get into a rhythm or a groove or something. And I would probably just go around the toms until I find something that feels good, get into it, and then like most drummers know, you get into a flow and then it just it plays itself. You just need to let your body go with it. And then you combine it with, like what I said before, with divine energy. Maybe it's the wrong word right here, but you know, this creative flow, which is outside you, which you just let in. You let it blend with your own way of playing. I'm just using a lot of words here, and I'm just sounding like a fucking idiot. But I mean, you just find something. Either you hear it first, or you just improvise it, and then you just go with the flow, and it's just going to be there. And how to make it more like advanced or complicated, I would assume I would have to pick up another drumstick at one point or another.
Okay.
I think the key is to once again to feel things, to feel the flow inside you, and have your muscles work with it. You know, heart, mind, body is working together, and then connect to outside things and deeper things inside you. It's the same there.
Interessante.
It could also be the drum kit itself. I mean, you were talking about the colors of the wall, but I mean, I would also like to point out the importance of the drum kit, because I mean, sometimes the drum kit wants you to play something in particular. I mean, the drum has a soul as well. I'm an animist for sure. I think that everything has a soul and an inbound soul energy into it, and that goes for a drum kit or even an individual drum like the snare or whatever. And you can just feel how it wants to be played in different ways.
It brings me back out of the blue. It brings me back the drummers from Def Leppard sometimes.
Yeah, but he does it. I don't know how they do it. If they have do they have like backing tracks for the rest, or do they just skip it? I don't know. I really don't know, but I think it's really honorable to keep a drummer. I mean, if you're a band on that level, like they're huge as fuck, and I think they were during the time of his accident as well. I mean, they could have just picked a new drummer. They didn't. No, we're keeping this one, but he only has one arm, so we make it work. I think that's really honorable, and it's definitely an accomplishment from him too. You know, too.
May I ask, please, how has been your attitude? Maybe, please correct me. I want to try to find the right word, but sometimes I must not commit it. But like, how's been your pattern or your attitude by playing drums in excuse me, in all the bands you've been played, has been changed through the years? Well, it's easy to mention Marduk, but previously, when you have been militant for Mysterion, and how did you see, if you see back in the days, how your attitude, I would say? or how your way to compose the drums pattern has been changed with the bands?
Well, my attitude has always been such that I want to put my own touch on it. I wanted to have my signature. I always want to bring something on my own. I always want to be like creative in what I do. And I guess further back in the beginning of my career, I think maybe I was too much of that, wanting to prove oneself too much, which is it's a classic drummer's disease. I mean, you make too many fills and blah blah blah, and like, oh, I can play this advanced stuff and all of that. But over the years, I've come to understand that you have to think about the song first and the context first, and the big picture of the whole thing, not just you as a drummer. So my attitude now, and which should always be a good attitude, I think, in these cases, is to wanting to add something that makes the music better, but still stay true to the original vision of the music. If we take Funeral Mist, for example, Daniel has a very clear vision of how he wants it to sound, and then the task for me, the challenge in this, is to stay true to his vision and to the sound of Funeral Mist, how he wants it to sound, and how I can still bring something to the table and actually put my touch on it, put my signature on it, and maybe even make it, better without coming and interrupting what he's trying to create. Do you understand? So it's a bit different. Funeral Mist, that is more important. That's a challenge to me. Was like, it's hard and still really fun, because like I'm trying to capture his vision here, but with my playing.
Yeah.
Where in Marduk or any of like my bands, I've been totally free to do what I want, basically in a different way. So it, like I said, it depends on the situation. It depends on the where you're going with the music. What's the purpose of this? But in general, I still want to add something on my own signature to stuff. Otherwise, it's kind of pointless. You can just use a drum machine or whatever. Yeah,
Good,
you know what
good,
I mean.
good.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Definitely. You can just tell the drummer, play exactly this. Okay, then I do that. And you have millions of drummers who can do that. But every drummer, when or musician, whatever kind of instrument, if you allow them to have a little bit of their own creativity in it, that's when it becomes interesting, I say.
Ok.
Yeah. Make sense? Yeah.
Dunque, allora, sì, per lui il vero, come dire, un attimo che devo riprendere il filo del discorso, la vera sfida sarebbe, allora, se lui fosse in questa stanza con queste pareti, diciamo, di diverso colore, grigia e rossa, lui mi ha fatto notare che il colore non, come dire, cioè sarebbe più o meno abbastanza irrilevante, perché si concentrerebbe molto di più sulla vera sfida, che sarebbe quella di utilizzare una bacchetta e sapere in che modo, cioè, quindi la sua visione interiore, probabilmente avendo altri colori per la mente, sarebbe dettata da uno stato di ansia quasi, cioè, perché avendo una bacchetta sarebbe insomma non difficile, però comunque dovrebbe, ovviamente c'è una situazione molto più ridotta, sì, poi in questo senso forse perché da professionista qual è, vorrebbe, infatti la domanda che gli ho fatto poi dopo, comunque come si è evoluto durante questi anni, e mi ha detto una cosa che riporta il motivo per cui si concentrerebbe sulla bacchetta, perché all'inizio, tuttora, comunque la sua attitudine rimane fissa sul dare la sua, mettere quasi la firma, la sua firma sui brani composti, quindi bisogna riconoscere che comunque è Broddesson. Quindi anche se avesse una bacchetta dovrebbe essere comunque lui nel modo più autentico, e allora in questo senso andrebbe, diciamo, più a concentrarsi forse probabilmente su Rullante, Charlie e Gran Cassa. E questo non significherebbe, cioè, non lo prenderebbe forse come una situazione di poco conto, cioè, ha imparato anche con gli anni a non necessariamente, diciamo, sovraccaricare, esagerare in un certo senso con i primi album.
Mm-hmm.
Scusate, quelli con il misterio soprattutto non di azzardare, però quando si è all'inizio si vuole un po', diciamo, come dire, si vuole uscire sopra le righe, si vuole far sentire che magari si suona la batteria, magari per un chitarrista, insomma, per un cantante, no? Quindi c'è questo senso proprio di quasi esagerazione, che poi esagerazione non è. E quindi arrivando alla sintesi, che penso che sia qualcosa che spetti a tutti noi, cioè all'inizio militiamo e poi alla fine anche con meno less is more, quindi con meno si può raggiungere comunque un
risultato.
Un buon risultato, anche avendo una bacchetta e tenendo, per dire, il tempo, inteso proprio come il senso del tempo, cioè quasi come se fosse un metronomo. E cioè in questo caso, ho detto che le pareti potrebbero essere anche di più svariati colori, ma lui sarebbe comunque non probabilmente, sarebbe molto, come dire, concentrato sul suono.
Ok. Perfetto, grazie Enrico. Allora noi chiudiamo qua, ragazzi, salutiamo Lars, perché dalle 21:22 c'è l'intervista con i Fobia, dalle 22:30 alle 23:30 con Rick Roz. Ricordiamo che ritorniamo con Mister Enrico, appunto, torniamo direttamente il 24 con i Morta Scald, che è un gruppo death metal americano veramente molto interessante, quindi ci sarà veramente tanto da divertirsi il giorno. Io ringrazio veramente Enrico per la sua professionalità, per le domande tradotte veramente in maniera qualitativamente da 10 all'ore, come sempre. Quindi salutiamo Mr. Lars, lo ringraziamo di cuore per averlo avuto la seconda parte, e poi in futuro ne avremo un'altra bella chiacchierata, perché con Lars veramente è di una qualità incredibile. Prego, traduci queste cose e poi chiudiamo.
That's a bit out of the blue. I wished I would have more time to ask furthermore. Time is over for now.
Yep. Time flies when you have fun.
What?
Time flies when you have fun, as we say in Swedish.
Yeah, it's pretty it's pretty universal, but I mean, conclusion is that it is a safe pleasure and honorable to be delighted by your insights. I am pretty sure there's so hell of a lot to talk about, more like it's good to have a point in the a visual in the music, but it's as well as important to let's talk more about, or I don't know, it depends. The groove also is, I guess that, by my opinion, the groove is the real visual for the musicians, and it's all like conform to the same art. There's no visual art, or it's just all the same, but somehow the tools are different, but the vision is just the same. So if we would have been able to talk more about the groove, I guess we would have more of your visuals or visions about, like, for example, what do you see when you're playing some fast rhythm, or how do you go when you're going doom or whatsoever. But on the other hand, I guess we will have more time, depending if you would like to give more of your points. But we can, as you like, stay in touch and find out some more.
Definitely. I mean, we can just always schedule for a number 3 of this.
Yeah. That will be.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. This is fun. I like talking, and I mean, these are very how do you say, different kinds of questions from what you're used to. It's not like, yeah, did you like to play in Marduk? Yes. Have you been on tour? Yes. Which is your favorite country? I don't know. Well, nothing wrong with that, of course. I'm just making a little bit of fun here, but
Do you
these are
mind if
different questions. It makes you think and to philosophize and to speak in a different manner, which is a lot of fun. So I mean, I'm always open to do this again.
Do you mind, please, if I ask, and then we greet you and until the next? But one word for crux, if I pronounce it well. Crux. Yeah, is it the Swedish doom band?
Oh yeah, crux. Yeah. Well, what about them?
Just first word that captures, like, it's just again, free association. How do you define, if you like or not? It's not irrelevant, but you have sympathy for such kind of slower nuance, or not. Do you like more fast or brutal, or?
Okay.
Well, it's definitely a matter of what mood I'm in for the day. But I'm too restless for too slow music. I want energy and movement. I want more rhythmic content. I do like some doom, and I like them. It's like really dark and sad, and it like kind of grips you and kind of it makes you feel like you're in a fucking tomb, but there's nothing left but to just die and give up everything. I like that kind of feeling. Uh, but I always need some kind of rhythmic content. I like two rhythmic parts that are playing against each other, and doom isn't. That's not really what doom metal is about. But I tend to need that because I lose interest very fast otherwise, unfortunately. But I mean, having said that, I could just as well listen to white noise, or like radio static in the car. I can drive for hours when it's just, I don't know what to listen to, and I can just put on noise and just listen to noise and feel music in that. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but in general, I mean, I listen to every fucking kind of music. A good song is a good song, but it needs to touch the heart in one way or another, and I usually need a bit of energy to it, rhythmic energy.
Ok, ti sei mutato, Enrico? Non ti sentiamo. Henry, non ti sentiamo. Ok, perfetto ragazzi. Ti sei rimutato di nuovo? Non ti sentiamo? Non ti sentiamo, Enrico? Non so cosa sta succedendo. Ok, perfetto. Allora ragazzi, noi ringraziamo veramente di cuore Lars. Thank you very much, Lars. Very honor.
Esatto.
Vai, Lars.
And thanks to your friend, thanks to your furry friends too.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
It is Panzerfaust.
Okay. Right.
Bye bye, Lars.
I've been added you on Facebook, so we can continue there. But thanks very much for now. Have a good week.
Take care.
Bye
and
bye.
Likewise. All the best. Vabbè.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ok ragazzi, scusate, grazie mille Enrico, chiudiamo qua perché siamo di fretta, perché rispetto al 21 c'è sono di fobia, quindi veramente di corsa alla grande. Niente, gli ha chiesto il gruppo Doom, da quello che ho capito lo conosce, gli piace, da quello che ho capito, se non ho capito male.
Sì, sì.
Ok.
Ma è più sul vabbè, dipende poi cioè, come quando ci si fa la domanda un po' trabocchetto che tipo di musica ascolti, allora vengono fuori le più svariate cose. Volevo chiedergli, visto che predilige ritmi molto insomma, forsennati, rapidi, triviali, bestiali, se magari anche qualcosa di un po' più solido, visto che hai portato a galla la domanda della bacchetta e magari del cadenziare in modo un po' più... Allora mi è venuto in mente il Doom e ho chiesto dei Crux, che sono, come diavolo si pronunciano questi autori, ricordano un po' la musica di Matt Pike, però sono svedesi. Sì, comunque insomma, gli piacciono, cioè, gli piace anche qualcosa di un po' più, non è il suo primo ascolto, però va bene lo stesso.
Ok, perfetto, salutiamo Black Metal Circle, grandissimi, vi
Non abbiamo
ricordo...
fatto la domanda del calice, Cottiglio.
Ah?
Non abbiamo fatto la domanda del calice.
Tranquillo, ci sarà la terza parte, quindi non ti
No, penso
preoccupare.
che va
Non è
bene.
finita qua, non è finita qua con Lars. Ragazzi, il grande spettacolo continua e non si fermerà mai. Sacco codice 000, la morte vi renderà liberi. Ci vediamo dalle 22. Salute Enrico, grazie mille. Buona serata a tutti. Vi ricordo solamente una cosa. Au revoir.